That's a big fish. I need you. I really need you. Come here. You are big. You are big, big, big. Just wish you guys could see this fight. That's a big, big fish. Big fish. Big, 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 big. Oh, I never get tired of hearing that. That was the biggest small I ever caught up on the Wisconsin River. Welcome, everybody, to the Everything Kayak Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, JT Hickman, presented by the Fishing with Gramps YouTube channel, American Legacy Fishing, Moving Water Outfitters, and, of course, Fish Texas Kayak Trailers. It's been a fun start to the year already. Started out my season just going out, kind of testing the waters with the new Bonafide XTR. First day on the water, catch me a 19.5-inch on bogs, which I never expect. And then we follow that up with a trip down to Bassmaster Classic, watching the folks hammer Lake Fork, catching giants. As a fan, I completely and thoroughly enjoyed the experience once again. Steve Owens, crew, Dave Mercer, all of them just do a wonderful show at the Classic Expo. But it was awesome because we had our good buddy Wyatt Hammond bring home the dub. He was on the show last week. If you haven't checked out that podcast, check it out on Everything Kayak Fishing, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and most of the places you find your stuff and things. If you're into the podcast, if not, if you like YouTube, go back and watch last week. But Wyatt's always a cool cat to have on. He's one I'm predicting that someday is going to be an Angler of the Year, because that dude has just been on fire and seems to do the right things at the right time. So I posted up a question earlier today. Who do you think the next Angler of the Year for the Bassmaster Kayak Series is going to be? Not named Russ or Drew. My prediction, Wyatt Hammond. But enough of all that. Of course, I had a blast down on at the Classic. Then I fished the Kayak Adventure Series. Tried to fish the lake that I wanted to fish, where it was actually one at, but there was just too many boats. But there'll be videos and all that coming out for all of that. Then I went and spent some time on Lake Fork chasing giants with Nick from Fish Texas Kayak Trailers. Caught me a nice 6-pounder. Can't complain about that. Didn't break that PB. That's why we fish, because you just never know when that magic day is going to come. But tonight, we're going to bring on a guest. We're going to talk about some of his recent excitement and adventures. And then we'll talk about Bassmaster, Dale Hallow, everything that's magic about that place that I have yet to have visited. So I signed up today so I can come hang out with this dude, the TD du jour, Mr. Steve Owens. Steve, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. What about you?
Man, I could say I'd be better, but I'm trying not to get doged. But, if they force me into early retirement, make me take an early pension. But here's what's funny. So I put some feelers out because I work in cybersecurity. And I hit my 20-year mark next week. So I could be up for the chopping block if they decide to, give me a pension and give me some money to leave early, which I wouldn't cry about. I go get another job. But I was updating my resume and actually got a hit from my higher headquarters, which happens to be in Huntsville, Alabama, which is pretty close to some place that we like to fish.
Yeah, Huntsville ain't too bad to live. It's you're close to everything.
So if I had to go take a contracting job, probably making more money than I do working for the federal government. It's only 5 hours away from where I live. My wife's like, "Oh, you can leave. You can leave on, you can leave on Sunday afternoon and be down there in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Come home on Fridays when you're not fishing on the weekend." So I was like, "Oh, don't twist my arm, woman. That'd be a dream come true." But we'll just have to see what the good Lord has in store for us.
That's right.
But speaking of Guntersville, you were down there not long ago.
Yeah, I went down.
Were you hanging out with the Team Kayak Series guys? Because I know that you work with Dugout, and they are one of the title sponsors, I guess, of that. Tell us about your recent trips down there.
So yeah, I went down, and company I work with here in town does the checks that we give out at Bassmaster, Tennessee and Georgia, and the Team Kayak Series. So I was making the delivery for those because if you've held one yet, they weigh about 70 pounds a piece. So we had about a
You're
hundred
saying
and
I need to start working out, you know?
oh yeah, you're gonna have to start hoisting. It's like the catch trophy weighs as much as the check does. So yeah, yeah.
I'm
And
pretty sure
so
I'll never
we
have to worry about that, but you never know.
hey, you never know when. I got lucky and got some hardware here in my career, but
Saw that.
yeah. But we so anyway, went down there and dropped those off, and we started. It's a nationwide tournament. One of our Tennessee grassroots kayak directors, Brandon Tomlinson, young family. They're probably early 30s. His wife come down with breast cancer, so like we all do, we did an online tournament for them, and it's open until after Del Hollow. I put it in there in case people wanted to fish it, just for the weekend at Del Hollow to help raise some money
Oh,
for
I
the
need to get on
family.
that too, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a good Yankees fan like me, so we got.
We don't even wanna
And
get started
so,
with what my Braves are doing right now. I'm
oh man,
just
I love the Braves too,
I
man. I
know
actually
you
just got tickets for Yankees and Braves July 20th for me and my wife. So now I miss my job where I can work overtime to make up money when I need it. So, but yeah, those were hefty, but hey, it's worth it. But anyway, I got down there and I thought, well, you know what? I'll just go to a couple of my little honey holes and try to get a few fish for that tournament. And
Oh, yeah.
did some fishing, did pretty good that morning. Ran into some buddies from Middle Tennessee. Talked to them for a little while they were fishing and met Gene and got passed off the checks. And on the way home, I was headed to a certain area and I was on the phone with my buddy and he said, well, Dustin Cannell's up there whacking them right now. And I was like, oh crap. Well, so that scratched that off the list. So I just went
Yep.
to a place I like to go into. And when I launched, the wind was coming out of the south, 15 ish, and a lot of people don't understand that Guntersville is about like Kentucky Lake. When that wind comes up the channel against the current, it becomes like really, really bad.
Yeah.
And so when I on my way up, I had, a couple of foot rollers, nothing crazy. And, so I was just riding them and, just going up and so I fished and this is what, this is the one takeaway from the whole story. And I'll try to make it brief, but if your gut tells you something, just if you can text it to yourself immediately so that it stops what you're doing so you can so it can soak into your brain. But I was messaging my buddy Chris and I was saying I'm a little nervous about getting back to the ramp because the wind had picked up considerably. And
Yeah.
it's about 20-ish gusts in the mid 20s. And so he said, well, just let me know, what you need or something. And where I was at, I could easily, pedal somewhere and then drag up into a field and he'd come pick me up
Yeah.
and drive me to my truck. And I just didn't do it. And so I got on the phone with Sassy Dan. We did the weather scout, like when the wind was going to lay down. And, I thought, okay, the miles per hour made me think I'd be all right. So I went out to the main lake and went to take off just to kind of test it. And I didn't make it 15, 20 yards. And it was a point of no return. The waves had gotten so bad, it sucked me out into the main channel and I couldn't turn,
Yeah.
I couldn't turn at all. If I did, I was gone.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what, no problem. A Hobie is great for big water. And so I'm going and the waves are so high. The slower I went, the less control I had. It started spinning me. So I had to speed up. And in speeding up, it just kept plowing in. And I was taking waves literally in my lap, not spray, but they were just in my lap, and not the Hobie's fault. But, I had my hatch lid in there and that hatch bucket will break that seal. And so
Okay.
my kayak I mean, I was using it for what it wasn't used. It was like an icebreaker almost. Uh, um, and so my kayak filled with water and it lost, it started getting tippy, and I made it. Um, Literally my pin drop when I got off out of the water was a 1 minute walk from my takeout. I mean, I could
Wow.
see it. I could see it. Yeah. I could probably
Yeah.
throw a baseball twice and hit it. And so I'm, obviously we're praying in those kinds of times, like, Lord, I'm good. I'm good. I was calm the whole time. I never really got nervous. And as I was going over, I was kind of like, Lord, why is this happening? Like I've been sitting here praying to you. Why am I going over? And the Holy Spirit calmed me. I just literally like almost audibly heard, just be calm. It's going to be okay. You're going to make it. And so, my buddy Ferguson, he got flipped at the second or third KBF championship on Kentucky Lake. And when he did, his kayak hit him in his head and almost knocked him out.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I've always thought about that over the years. And
Yep.
so I've been in a Hobie for a very long time, and even in a native, I could grab the seat. But I was like, if I ever go over, I'm going to make certain I grab this kayak because I don't want it coming over on me. At least if I've got it, it'll push me under the water, if I keep. And
Yep.
so ninja like skills I possess, as I went over, I grabbed the H rail, and I thank God I did because when I came back up, I noticed in an instant my PFD did not inflate.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm getting my bearings and I'm looking for the shore and I'm dead center of Lake Guntersville, probably about 100 yards either way. And so I got my bearings and I inflated my PFD and I felt for my phone tether and I found that. I keep my phone tethered to me.
Yes.
In the kayak, the only reason you tether it is so you don't fall overboard, the phone. But if I fall overboard, I need my phone. And
Yes.
so I always do that. And so even if you can't get a signal, you can still hit the emergency 911 thing and it'll send that ping. And so um, when I had a hold of the kayak, I was, almost going to try to swim it, and the waves kept pushing me under, and I couldn't breathe. So I pulled myself up and went to push off, and my hamstrings locked up, and I couldn't move my legs. And so, had I not grabbed that kayak, if I went under, PFD doesn't go off, I'm going to try to start swimming. Well,
Yep.
immediately my hamstrings locked up. I wouldn't have been able to. I don't know that I would have had the forethought then to inflate my PFD. Or what if it didn't inflate manually when I pulled it? So
Yep.
I really think if I hadn't grabbed a kayak, it would have been really really bad. And so I couldn't swim in that kind of water. I mean, I could swim okay, but it kept pushing me under as I was trying to go downriver. So I remember riding those waves going up. So I turned my back and it just started pushing me and I would fall. It would push me and I would fall. And so I was able to breaststroke at the top and just ride the wave instead of going against it. And
Yep.
thankfully it blew me to the bank and I got out and I'd already let my wife, my buddy Daniel and Chris know that I was heading to the ramp. So they knew where I
Yep.
was at. They knew the water was rough. Um, and when I got to the ramp, when I got to the bank, I was safe, totally safe. So I didn't need the 911 situation. I just needed to get my bearings, let my family know I was all right. And so Daniel started reaching out to people we knew with boats. I called Gene and Michael at the TKS tournament. And then I remembered the local game warden that lives very close and I had become acquaintance. So I called him and within 15 minutes, he was there to me.
Yep.
He put in his mud boat and come and pick me up. And and so I just, but what really shocked me was, it's 59 to 61 degree water, and that water, my hamstrings locked up on me,
Yeah, people don't realize. I mean, it's like when you hear Jeff Little talking about wetsuits and this and that, we start thinking, oh, that's only for like smallie fishing in the middle of winter. And
Yeah,
you just don't realize, if the water in the 50s is in even low 60s is still pretty low,
that's right.
for what we do. And if we were young, spry gents in our 30s and full of piss and vinegar, we'd be a lot. But when we get a little farther along in the years, I'm the same way with you. But I can never. I've heard too many stories about like inflatables and this and that, so I'm always in the NRS Chinook. So no matter what, it's going to float me one way
Yeah,
or the other.
yeah. I've got them like you said. I've got Chinook. I've got my favorite is Kokatat. The way
Yeah,
it fits, and I've got an Old Town PFD that's very comfortable.
yeah,
And so now I've told myself, I'll carry the full body one, and when I'm traveling to and from, I'll throw it on.
yeah,
But when I'm fishing, I'll wear the inflatable, unless but, 'cause I'll just be transparent. Since I got COVID the first year it came out, after that, heat just I get to where I just melt. I just get so drained anymore.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard for me to do that. I just that heat just comes out, and it's just like, "Ugh." But, but if I couldn't, do it, then I obviously would just not go out, in
Yeah.
that kind of weather. But the main thing was I should not have been in that water. I should have. I had options. Someone could come and get me.
Yeah.
Or I could. And literally, what was kind of humorous after the fact was, after Venable came and got me. Um, Literally, probably the time I hopped in his boat to go down there and get my kayak that had washed into some trees, the wind just laid down. it just
Yeah.
laid down. So I was
It's
like,
like, come on, man.
I got off the water early to come home to Boss Lady a little early, and if I would've just stayed and fished as long as I wanted to, the wind would have been gone and it wouldn't have had that problem. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, like you
Don't
said,
quit
you never
fishing,
know, but
folks. Yeah.
like you said, you're if your intuition, if something is telling you, listen, just listen to your gut, listen to what you're being, you're probably having those thoughts for a reason. So
Right.
best to safe and come back and fish another day. A lot of us, whether the bite's on fire or whatever, we want to think that we're okay, but sometimes it's just smart to move on and just get off the water and come back again.
Yeah. It
So
was
yeah,
total
your
ignorance on my
videos that you
part.
posted up on Facebook, if anybody hasn't seen those, go, Steve posted some videos up like during the day, and it's kind of good information just for people to see if they're, especially if they're newer kayak anglers, which a lot of my audience are, just to, if you experience something like that, know when to get off and then call for help versus trying to ride it out, because we've seen the best of the best that we know that's on the water, Jordan Marshall, others that have, the wind will get you. You can't, it doesn't matter what kayak you're in. If you think it's bulletproof, I could go out there and think my XTR would take everything that there is to throw at it, but that's just not always the case. I mean, wind and
No,
water
it's not.
always wins, but we love our sport and we just have to be careful when we're doing it.
Yeah. There was a gentleman, I guess same day, on Old Hickory. Joe Hobnick and I were talking today. He was on Old Hickory and he drowned.
Yeah.
The wind got him out of his kayak and hypothermia and all that sat in. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard the story of the guy calling his father, telling him he wasn't going to make it, it was just one of those, again, just one of those things that breaks your heart. But
Yeah.
we all know there's danger in everything we do. I mean, every time we get behind the wheel of a car, getting in an airplane, helicopter, kayak, boat, whatever, hell, you can walk out the back door and get munched by a mountain lion or a grizzly bear, just depending on where you live. But
Right.
it's when your mind's eye, your thoughts start speaking to you, pay attention and listen. But yeah, coming
Right.
up next, so let's backtrack a little bit. Bassmaster Classic, Steve O up there on the big stage, doing big things. How was do you ever? I mean, I know you've done it a few times now, but still, what's it like to be the dude? I mean, that's got to be, we see it happen on TV. We know Mercer's up there being Mercer and being silly when he does his things, but you're up there with the best in our sport doing the stuff and things. I mean, that's got to still. I mean, I know you've been doing it a while now, but what's that like?
I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. Um, I've got a servant's heart. I always have.
Yep.
And, like I don't know, man. I feel like everything I do is supposed to be for somebody else. And
Yep.
I've got a lot of my close friends are like, you're doing this for you too, so you need to make sure. And that's when I, set my own balance of making sure that I'm doing it the way that I can stay happy and engaging,
Yeah.
and part of that comes with like setting, not in a controlling way, but you have to set your own narrative of how you want to run something or steer something. Because if you don't, then other people have ownership of it and they do it their way, then you're going to be miserable, and
Yeah.
that's why, there's some reasons that we communicate the way we do now in this series is so that it can stay controlled, so that we can do our jobs and vet complaints or infractions and stuff like that without having to deal with, like what's going on in the bass boat world right now.
Yeah.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
those guys, they can't catch a breath before they get punched over here and over
Yep.
there. And I think, and obviously we're nowhere near that size. And I think that helps us be able to stay where it's personable,
Yeah.
where, you and I can have enough of a connection, to where if you bring something to me and you're just all pissed off about it, and let's just say I'm part of the reason you're angry, you're still going to give me your piece about it, and then I'm going to tell you respectfully, okay, now I need you to back off and let me look at this and figure it out. You'll
Right.
do that because we have a relationship, and that's
Yeah.
happened several times this year and last year, and so far I don't feel like we've missed anything. We have grievances that get brought to us, and a lot of those are just hearsay. But I mean, I don't care if someone said that you were throwing a cast net out of a helicopter on the Susky. I have to call you and investigate that. As
Oh yeah.
crazy as that sounds, and I do. And that's insulting to some people but most everyone, I'll just literally say everyone has understood that when you question them, it's because we're trying to keep this thing right,
Yep.
because there's a lot of ways to do it wrong and very few ways to do it right. And we don't do everything right, but I feel like we've got a good handle on that. But to answer your question, it's pretty cool, man. I mean, like this last one in Texas was the most relaxed one I think I've ever had.
Yeah.
The hardest part about every event is getting anglers to awards.
Oh
Now
yeah.
granted, they're just coming off the water. They're tired. We understand. But sometimes as anglers, we get just caught up in a moment. Like I'm walking into the place and I want to talk to you about what I did today, or you're trying to tell me what you did. And next thing you know, we're running behind and we can't get everything over with, so everybody can hit the road. And at the classic, they're always disconnected from the arena mostly, so
Yeah.
there's a shuttle time, and so that's because when you get into the arena, if you, I don't know if you've seen television schedules, but I'm sure you can get an idea. Um, you know, they're in 15-second blocks.
Yeah.
So I mean, talking about from 3 p.m., there's 4 blocks for every single minute, and that has to be taken care of because if you run over, then you're getting into money somebody else spent for airtime, and they don't
Right.
like
Right.
that. And so that's why the first now that we've got it where Eric Lopez and the people at Bass, they got it to where the doors open to the public a lot sooner. And it was
Yeah.
because and in the past it wasn't that it wasn't done correctly, but it was done the way they were used to doing it, and that we were trying to be fit in on their old existing schedule. And over time, they've seen, okay, now we need to adjust this on this end so that the kayak can come in over here. So we're working on some things for next year. Really just be transparent. Don't mind it, because if it don't happen, I mean, it's just something we've just discussed. But we're looking at doing a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday championship and bringing awards to Saturday,
Yeah. Okay.
because Saturday there's more people in the crowd on Saturday. There's more
Oh yeah. I
eyes
got
on the
you.
web on Saturday, and so
Yeah.
it's just another evolution of it to help put more eyes on it.
Yep.
Um, because we're in an actual tournament. The others, they're just coming up to get their award for the year, kind of thing. And so I think that'll be a really nice thing. And what it'll also do is, like on Lake Fork, when we have weather issues, we now give you a 2-day championship instead of just a 1-day shootout, which was
Gotcha.
great
Yeah.
and fun. But you want to go head to head for that 2 or 3 days, and
Oh yeah.
and we always wanted a 3-day, but we had to build the base and make certain it was sustainable long enough before you start doing that, because I know it's just an extra day, but you still have to factor that into people's planning and travel. But this last one was really relaxed and chill. So we're backstage, and I'm walking out, and our buddy Roy Rodrigo from Roy, we call him Roy, from Mexico. He runs Mexico Bass Nation Kayak
Yep.
Series. We got him backstage with us. I brought him out with his GoPros, let him film, and it just got soaked up. And then we looked out and the crowd was all waving, and even people that weren't kayakers, you could just tell they were just like, oh heck yeah, man, here we go,
Oh
and they were
yeah.
clapping for everybody and cheering. And of course we had a sound which, I mean, that can be
Yeah.
Dickies
I
Arena.
think Denny ended up saving the whole day for those of us watching because
Yeah.
I had already bolted to go, to go fish myself, and then I was like, "Where's the live? What?"
Oh
but
yeah, it was,
but
trust me, yeah. It's like, if you've noticed, all through the weekend live, you couldn't hear their intro music.
yeah.
And sometimes if you'll watch, Tommy would say something over the speaker, and Mercer would look up and nod his head, and then he would start speaking. So they were swapping feeds back and forth even during I mean, it was, and I can't answer that. I'm not a sound guy, but something somewhere. And Hey, if you ever get to go by, and I'm sure maybe you have been backstage at a concert, but the millions of miles of cords that it takes. I mean, there's trunks this big around laid everywhere with wires and cords, and so one thing has an uh-oh, but anyway,
Yeah.
they made the best of it, and so they actually the camera guy, I don't know if you got to see, but actually the camera guy, one of them, live feed got up on stage and was getting kinda close to us, up under us to hopefully pick up my voice or whatever, but I mean, but anyway, I mean, it's for years and years, Bass has poured more into that part
Yeah.
of us, and, that's pretty great. I mean, literally almost anything we come up with, they're down for, and
That's
they're
really
pulling the
cool.
money out of the budget because we know we've got some great sponsors, but it costs a lot of money to put on that kind of a production, and it's anything we need. They've been on board about getting it for us, but we have a
That's really
blast
cool.
doing it. We have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and then next year you're gonna get to go back to one where you've already done it once, so it'll kind of be, it's like, okay, we've been here before, we've done this, we can do it again.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
going back to Knoxville, so that'll be interesting again. So yeah, looking forward to that. So let's talk a little bit about the next one we got coming. So, well, let me back up first too. Who's leading the AOY race right now? I guess I need to learn the Bass website so I know kind of who's doing what where. Um, because I don't know what all counts so far. I'm assuming the classic doesn't count for this year's because that's the conclusion
Right.
of last year's. So
Right,
we've
and we're
had
trying
what?
to get that next year, but it wouldn't be able to happen in 2025 or the 2026 championship. But going forward after this next one, I want to incorporate the championship into it as
Yeah.
well. So do your best three and your championship.
Oh yeah. There
But
you go.
in my opinion, how we do that, and I've been talking to other anglers. So let's just say you made it in through Bass Nation. Okay,
Yep.
you didn't make it through one of the opens, and you didn't fish three. Well, you're not going to get AOI points out of the championship because, just to be fair, these people committed to three tournaments,
You're right.
and the Bass Open and whatnot. So those would be the people that get the Angler of the Year points and the championship points. Because I mean, I just think that that's fair. I mean, you fish into the Bass Nation, you're still going to win your place and your money. But when it
Yeah.
comes to AOY, that's the people that can. That's the only way that we can do it because we don't have a Bass Nation series, a Bass Open series, an Elite
Right.
series. We've got one series, and we've got to take everybody, find the best way to mesh in, which is where I think 10% of the championship from each state counts. There's some people that can discredit that all they want, but I mean, you can't. You're still winning a championship in a state. So
Yep.
people say, well, what if it's just 30 anglers? Well, guess what? There's only three people coming. But you
Yeah.
beat, like in Tennessee, we've got 118 anglers. So you beat those people, and you get 10 people that get to come in. Well, they earned it against 100 of the best in that state.
Yep.
So it's the perfect recipe that we have, and off of our current model. So that's what I would like to do in that year. But to answer your question, when you go to the Bassmaster website, obviously you click tournaments and you can go to kayak. But if you hit anglers, boom, AOY standings for everything. So,
Yeah. Okay.
so yeah, so the kayak AOY right now is uh so right now, mind you, we've only had two events. So
Right.
this is
Right.
our third one. So Drew Gregory has 466 from Ohio. Garrett Wade from Alabama has 459. Alabama's Joe McElroy has 335. Kentucky's Chelsea Goodwin has 310. And those are the only people that have two events that got enough score to have a
Yeah. Okay.
placement right now. So yeah,
Yeah, because not everybody jumped on a plane from Ohio and flew out to Havasu to go
yeah. And
to
then and then
go win a
Garrett,
derb.
Joe, and Chelsea, they drove from Alabama to and Kentucky all the way
Yeah,
out. Yeah, we
yeah,
had some, like, surprisingly, we had Christy Cooper and Chris Fallon. You need to get Christy Cooper on here. She's a Tennessee gal. She's a
yeah.
realtor. Christy sells house. She's great. And she's a lady, female angler that travels. She was a part of went to the Bassmaster her stuff out there.
Oh, very
But we
cool.
had, Christian Conrad drove from Georgia. Yeah, we had I think we had 8 or 9. We had Dylan Kristolowski came in from Pennsylvania.
Ah, That's
Um,
that's just insane. I mean, that's a drive.
yeah, I know. So, but yeah, it's been a great time, man. It's been fun.
But I mean, there's a lot of folks that, I mean, they travel well. I mean, Abby Abidan's is all over the place, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude is on the road.
Hey, if you got a singing voice, it's easy to do, right?
Yeah, you got yeah, just go go visit someplace, put on a show, raise a little funds, and
Yep.
go to the next one.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But shoot, yeah, I mean, but that makes it fun, and that's what I love about it too, because it's like, I love following like Marty Hughes, and
Yeah.
I wanna be Marty someday when I actually retire and go do all the things. The funny thing is, I got the poor man's whole Nico setup right here in my man cave because we were doing a little he was doing a little instructional at the kayak adventure series, and then the poor dude left the next day and had left the stuff out in the little picnic area we were at. So I told him I would have to come down to Del Hollow just to bring him back his stuff. That
There
was
you
my
go.
excuse to come fish and chase smallies.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta get with Nick. I've got, that's the hat you have on. Those are the ones I made, those Bassmaster hats, and I got Carl Jocham one, but I've got to get that Fish Texas hat. We're a dealer at a hub now at Dugout Bait and
I
Tackle.
saw
So
that. Yeah, that's awesome.
anything coming from the southeast, we'll have it up our way. And I think I get mine at a 10 killer,
Yeah, okay,
Bassmaster 10
yeah.
killer. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, pretty excited about that,
I
man.
picked up my new T Max, and I love the fact. I mean, I can't store it in the garage anymore. That's a wide body, but I
No,
can put the
my wife's
XDR
in
and
the
the
shower
PWR
right
on it with
now,
no
but
problem.
yeah, I'll tell you right now, my wife's in the shower right now, so I can share this. So we're getting our driveway extended to the side and all the way around and back through the edge of the house there, and I'm getting ready to put a lean-to carport up. That's
There
the
you
main
go.
reason. That's the main reason because of my Texas trailer and my kayaks. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
these things are so awesome. They're built like a tank, and
yeah.
I've been waiting for clear enough weather because we keep getting smacked with storms and tornadoes and hail. And I had a guy out today, up on my roof trying to figure out what they're going to do and all that. But looks like we finally got some settling down, so I can get out there and do my actual walk around. I've posted some teasers, but I got to get out and kind of show off the work because this thing is big and beautiful, and I mean just built like a tank. So yeah, you'll love it when you get yours. They're absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah,
Dale
when
Hollow.
when are you making it into Del Hollow?
I'm gonna drive down. I got to work Wednesday. I'm gonna come down Wednesday evening, and then that'll give me, I think, Thursday and Friday to fish. Well, Friday until registration,
Hmm.
and then go. I'm just coming in blind. I'm going to stay with Michael Ridenauer. He's got a spot there, and I think Mike Elsie's might be there too. I'm not sure who all's going to be in the house, but
Oh yeah, that's pretty
it'll
cool.
be
Two good
it'll
dudes.
be fun. But I've been squeezing Mike for the old juice, because I know he caught his PB there a few years ago, and he's been you coming to Hollow, you coming to Hollow because he wants to get me on a big smallie. So we've been
Yeah.
chit chatting and this and that. So I'm gonna go pre fish for a couple days, and I know a lot of people are saving fish. I'm swinging.
Oh, that's
I'm
me and Tom Kazmierski is one of the top anglers, that we have, and even especially in Georgia, he's fished his whole life in tournaments, and he said, "Man," he said, "it's hard not to just lay on them." He said, "Because heck, man, they could be gone tomorrow."
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
So,
life's too short for me to shake them off. I'm swinging
yeah,
at everything because you know what you call
right.
your PB on practice day, your PB.
Uh huh. That's it.
I ain't
That's
worried
it.
about cashing a check. I ain't worried about none of that. For me, it's an
Yep.
excuse to come and play and fishing a
There ain't no
Bassmaster
time
event.
stamp on it. Yep. That's what we're
Yep,
doing.
and for me, for fishing a Bassmaster, that's just hey, look, I'm on Bass Tracks. You can't, but not all your buddies can say that if they don't go to the events. So that's what I tell everybody. I don't care where you're at in your fishing career. If you want to have anything to do and enjoy some Bassmaster, pay the fee, come fish with everybody, and you just never know. You just never know what could happen. It's like I said,
Yeah.
if I get lucky and catch big bass, guess what? I caught big bass at a Bassmaster. Makes it awesome.
Yeah, don't forget. I mean, whenever make sure y'all click on. I need to put it on the Attorney X page too. We've got our meet and greet on Thursday. You've been to one of them, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're going to meet at the Steel Coop at Sunset Marina, and so that's actually Del Hollow is a build at Signature Lakes,
Okay.
and what that is it's an initiative the state of Tennessee got with Build Ants, and they've got grant money to keep the boat ramps open and nice. Do a lot of habitat work on these bodies of water because Del Hollow has a slot limit on smallmouth. That's how they
Yeah.
get so big up there, just like in Texas. And that's what blew my mind about Alabama. I don't know if you saw, but Alabama was going to institute a slot limit on some of their bodies of water, and somehow or another, when the heat came on and it came time to decide it, they said that the fish mortality study was inconclusive or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that right there, buddy, somebody got to somebody.
Yep.
I mean, it's freaking hot as blazes, and these fish are just not. No matter how good you are, it's hard to care for them and keep them alive.
Yeah.
And so, if Alabama, I think they missed a huge mistake. They made a mistake there because slot limits are a good thing.
Yes,
I
100%.
truly believe it. Look at like
And
we
for
talked
I
about. Look
mean,
at
and that's the
Texas.
great thing, and that's another reason, to get people into kayak fishing. We're taking their picture and they're putting them back right there,
Yeah, that
so we
and
don't.
people we can't overstate. Because like when I started with Daniel building the Bass Nation stuff that we have, well, even before that, like when we would do, I used to do the KB, I used to run the KBFs in Tennessee
Yeah.
and Alabama and stuff. But our grassroots stuff, when we started reaching out to just local people, well, they don't know what we do. But then when you start telling them that we take pictures so that the fish can be released,
Yep.
a lot of times that's the education they wanted to hear.
Yes,
And
100%.
so I don't know if it gives them a benevolent feeling or whatever, but it opened doors,
Yeah.
that conservation aspect of it. And that's something I had to use for a long time. And I still do it to this day is like, our Susquehanna, we didn't use Harrisburg, which is where Hobie usually goes. We moved up to Lewisburg.
Yeah.
Great, 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 host, but they were uneducated in what we do because they don't have, they have some jet boat tournaments up there, but and so it took about a month or so to kind of educate them on what we do, and then they finally bought in, and then you got to figure out insurances and stuff,
Right.
and so, but that catch photo release is a huge deal to a lot of these bodies of water. Like I got to get the West Coast event booked, and I've got one more event to book, and I'm done with 2026 already. So
There you go.
it's went so smooth, and I like this. I love this schedule we have now. We're going to great fisheries, but it is spread out, and it's just the way it had to happen. But
Right.
next year, it's a little more condensed. That way, your shot at fishing three of them are good.
That's good.
Based off the people that we have. But and having said that, here we are so far. Not counting the championship, the other two that we've had still 20 plus states represented at the first two tournaments we've had. So
That's incredible. I mean, but it
yeah.
goes to show that, while other aspects maybe of the sport may be dwindling or settling down, or like you said, the boat world's a whole different thing. We seem to, I mean, even at the local club level here in the charity stuff, because it's online, we seem to be heading in the right direction. I know like kayak sales may not always be the thing because, somebody may, buy one, get into it, and then they're going to keep it for 5, 6 years.
Right.
But it's still realistically a low barrier to get started. Even if you just want to be a guy who paddles a kayak and has two rods, you can still go play at any level. And we see somebody do it like every year.
Yeah, I mean, you go and look at the check cashers. I mean, yeah, you have some regulars, but every tournament, like you just mentioned, Wyatt Hammond,
Yeah.
other anglers, you're starting to see, their names up there, like with the championships. I mean, I don't think, unless my memory fails me, the obviously first championship we had was Jim Davis. Then we had Eric Siddiqui, um, and from that, you know what? I mean, we're here. I mean, we can chit chat, but I'm going to have to pull it up. So here we are looking at speaking about the championship. So
Hmm.
we'll go right to uh, let's get over here. Apologize. So we got Mark Pendergraph, one Possum Kingdom there. Um, let's look at the top five. We got Drew Gregory in fourth. And then after that, got Siddiqui won it. Siddiqui wasn't in the top five. So top five, nobody. Russ Snyder's was fifth. Chris Walters was third. So there's not a repeat from the first two.
Yeah.
Then we get over here to the other one on Chick when Russ won it. All right, so Russ is a duplicate top five so far. There's 1 out of 4. And then, so Drew was a top five when he won it the year. So he's a second top five repeat. The other 4 are not. And then this year with Wyatt Hammond winning it, that's it. In
Yeah.
5 championships, we've had 2 people be repeat top fives.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
But
pretty
it's
dang
crazy. It
good.
just goes to show that, and it's funny too because like so many, if somebody says, "Well, how's Russ Snyder's going to fish?" We know. How Drew Gregory going to fish? We know. And then you
Yeah,
have the guys that are coming along. You'll see more, offshore type guys, and it's always fun. But every derb that you go to, and you've done just a wonderful job of scheduling, but it's like as a fan following along, every one of the places these guys go and fish, there's going to be monsters caught and just massive bags. It's like when I talked to Wyatt at the expo, he had been sitting on 110, and I was like, did you do any good? He's like, yeah, I caught one more at the last minute. I was like, are you kidding me? But I mean, it's like you just never know. It's so cool because after leaderboard goes off, you just never know what's going to get uploaded because we have so many people that can just get on them. And I think, and it's like I said, it's cool. Everywhere you go, it's like a little bit different every time.
right.
If you go to Possum Kingdom, somebody's going to smash. But Susquehanna, you have everybody's favorites, but you keep going to places that it's really cool to go and see, and it's in a city someplace that there's a lot of cool things to do and see while you're there. And I mean, it just makes it absolutely awesome because I know it's got to be a pain in the butt. You got all these guys, all these hammers on the West Coast, but it's not easy for them to, travel as much as sometimes they have to. But I
Yeah.
mean, you're still bringing the crowds. What do you anticipating this one's going to look like? Because there was a pretty good Bass Nation turnout there at Dale Hollow earlier this year when it was still cold. I'm expecting probably going to see a whole bunch of people show up this time of year.
Yeah, we actually our Bass Nation, Tennessee Bass Nation on Del Hollows are December. That starts our new season every
Yeah,
year. And what we did there was AJ McWhirter and Jay Wallen used to run Bluegrass Kayak Anglers, and they had a snowball classic every year. And we fished it with them and loved it, and it got us up there. I mean, it's miserable. I mean, most of the time it's drizzle rain. We've had one year where it was like 40 degrees,
I
and
remember seeing guys talking about ice. There was ice on the rods. I mean, I was like, you guys
yeah,
are
and
nuts.
so, those are almost 100 every year. Um, Tennessee Bass Nation on Chick was 118 recently. I think we had almost 80 on Watts Bar, and we had 98 at Del Hollow. That's our 3 so far. So we got Cordell Hull this weekend. But to answer your question, I am the worst person to ask about attendance.
Yeah.
I text Lambert all the time and say, "Man, we've only got such and such," and he's like, "Man, yeah," and it ends up being what it is, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like we were sweating. Like Vinny brought the native hourly, Big Bass Power Hour here, and we were sweating it because we had like 13 people signed up on Wednesday, and then boom, got
Yeah.
over 100 something. So it's hard.
It's
That's why I slid our registration. It's always been on Wednesday, but now that you all do a pretty good job of signing your waivers and W-9 on Bassmaster.com,
yeah.
um, I don't have to chase people down,
I
and
got
so
to go
now
do
they
my
let me.
W-9. I did my waiver, but I got blocked on my network at work today. But I was like, I got to remember to
Oh
do that when I
yeah,
get home.
yeah. If anybody listening, if you ever have a spiral or a hang up on your phone, do it from a laptop or an iPad, and it's a lot smoother. But
Yeah.
it's just ancient engineering. But anyway, so that's why I leave it open until Thursday evening now,
Yeah.
and it's because And there's some people that have asked, when you go to bed on Thursday night and you wake up on Friday, uh, the number grew. And what that is there's times when you pay and Stripe hangs up in the system for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so what I have to do is I literally go through my emails and type in a keyword. It says something like, an angler has registered for number 3 Del Hollow Bassmaster. So I'll type in registered Del Hollow, and it'll pull up everybody that's signed. And so I literally go through there, click every angler, go to Tourney X, and make sure they're on the leaderboard. And if they're not, I go to Stripe, figure out what's happened, and I have to go through and fix the process. And that just happens. I
Yeah.
mean, so it's going to grow sometimes. And with Bassmaster, if you're a late sign up, there's a pit, like, in the boat world, there's like $100 penalty.
Yeah.
If you showed up
Oh,
and
I
your
had every
practice,
intention of waiting till like that Friday. I was like, "Well, that's
yeah,
Marquette. I'll just do it then." And then I was out looking. I
absolutely.
was like, "Oh no, I better do that today."
Yeah, well, so, like, if a person misses that, or they just have an uh-oh, I mean, there's a penalty, but you can still sign up. It's a
Yeah.
late penalty, I guess you could say. Maybe I
Yep.
should advertise that, but I mean, you know. But anyway,
Yeah, but
so,
like you say, you wanna know as best as you can for the number of people coming in there just so you kinda, prepare and, know what's coming too, but yeah, I think
absolutely.
I think I think Dale Hollow this time of year should be pretty fun. I'm just, because like a lot of us up here, we've been, you know how it is. I mean, it's been cold. We haven't even really it's like we miss spring every year because we get bombed with rain and storms. It's like right now our bass are on the beds right now and nobody can see a dang thing because everything's up 13, 14 feet. We got floods going on. The lakes are all mud. I think I took third place in the local derb last weekend or weekend before last, and it was literally 10 million casts with the Senko as close to the bank as you can get to get 5 dink bites because nobody knew what these bass were doing. And then it's funny, like the TD goes and fishes, and he this was a 5 day format. So he goes out there on a Monday, the one day of the week, the sun comes out, the storms are gone. Even though this place is muddy, he goes and slams like 90 some inches. And there was only three limits caught that whole time. My brother, myself, and then Jim just goes out and smashes them. But I mean, that's just spring fishing up here in Indiana because cold
Yeah.
fronts, storms, floods. I mean, it's always. But I think that's why Indiana boys travel well. We have to put up with the most. We have to. Everybody up north has to put up a lot of crap. So it seems like everywhere else we go, it gets a little easier.
Yeah, that's like, I saw Jackson. He posted some pictures the other day. He got out and caught some. Um, but that's the way. Like here in Tennessee, we've got a very, very strong grassroots club, and
Yeah,
they support Tennessee bass, without question too. But here in our area, we've got KBFTN. That's the
yeah,
Nashville club, basically. And they've won our we do obviously our state championships head to head, but within it, each team, each club, you get points for your you get we add your limit up basically for your top 8 anglers, and they've won it 4 out of about 9 years, maybe
oh
10, 4 out
wow,
of 10 years, and it's truly because they have to fish Percy Priest and Old Hickory. Those lakes suck, and so when they travel, they're throwing the little jig. They're throwing it in places we don't go because their fish get in these different hidey places, and
oh yeah,
they have tough fishing. Us, we're cussing half an hour into the day. My neighbor, he's a retired gentleman from California Delta, so he's moved up here, and we become best buds, and we fish together. And he texted me the other day. We were fishing Guntersville. That's why I didn't get to fish the team tournament, because I took
okay,
him out on Tuesday because we had Bass Nation on Kentucky Lake, which got rescheduled because of the weather up there. Um, so I had to, call. Me and Michael were in a meeting up here with the people that do our checks, and
right.
he was like, "Man, you can fish now." And I said, "I know, man. I'm excited." And then I was like, I was like, "Oh no." He said, "What?" I said, "I just went out in a boat yesterday." He was like, "Now wait a minute." So we both pulled up the rules real quick to see if they caught, if we carried over from. He's like, "Man, we did." And I was like, "Oh no." But anyway, but me and Jim, we were talking, and we were sitting there. He said, man," he said, "I feel like you've become a spoiled brat when it comes to fishing." He said, "Because y'all get out here and y'all wreck them, and so now here we are out fishing in this boat. And he said, if you ain't caught a fish in 15 minutes, I watch you. You're just looking around everywhere, like, where am I going next? Where am I going next? And I said, yeah, we get spoiled. Chickamauga would spoil you back in the day. It's like Guntersville is now. It used to be. So used to have, we could fish Chickamauga, Guntersville, and you could go and catch 20, 30 fish on either one of them, and I'm
Oh
talking
wow.
about like people that aren't like the best angler. You just knew you could just run across fish and catch them, and that's where that fish mortality comes in, I believe, truly,
Oh yeah.
tournament limits, and all of that. So,
I was gonna say for somebody who is as busy as you are, if anybody follows you on social media, it's like you're always doing something that's like, when does this man get time to fish? He's either got Bassmaster going on, he's got something with one of the local clubs where he's TDing or involved in running it's like, when does a poor boy get to go fish? And then you go out and fish a tournament and win one and just like, okay, I'm back. I
yeah,
can still sling
yeah,
it.
that was just every now and again that horseshoe falls out. You get another one from somewhere, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Why we do it. That is for sure.
Oh, I know. I get my wife. She gets. I get the eye every now and again. It's like, hey, you need to sit still for a little while, and
Yeah, yeah, trust me, I get it.
yeah, because I've just since the Lord opened the doors for me to be able to do this. I'm just going to live. I'm going to go everywhere that I can go. That
Yep,
Silverado will take me, and she gets to come with me on occasion, and then you know what I do is so social media heavy. It looks like I'm constantly to and fro, and and really not. Like I'll dip in and out, but if I'm posting ahead of a tournament, say Georgia Bass Nation, well, that's a 1 day deal because I'm
yep,
driving. I may stay overnight, like say go Friday, so I can relax and then run it Saturday and then come straight back home. But I do. She's blessed me with being able to get out and do the 1 or 2 day hops, and then
yeah.
my like I believe 10 Killer and Champlain, my big head nephew gets to go with me. So, we get to go out and have a good time. You,
Oh,
you met
yeah.
him at Caddo, right?
Yep, yep,
Yep. Yep.
yep,
So
good
he would
time,
get
we
to
were eating
come and
dinner together, that's right, yep.
yep. Yep. And man,
And
that
it's
boy
always fun to
wears
be able to
shrimp
share it
out.
with younger guys like that too, get them out, get them involved, and,
Yeah.
it
Where he
just makes it
lives, there's
fun.
a funeral home that's got a big lake next to it. And I meant to show Jordan, I meant to show you last night, but he sent me I showed him how to tie a wacky rig. So he
Yep,
goes and he wears them out in that funeral home pond. So
that's
he's
all you
catching
need,
these
man.
14, 15 inch. Yep.
Bag
Yep.
of Senkos and go to town.
Right, right. Yeah, tournament stuff will take care of itself. Like my
Oh, yeah.
cousin Shelly, her husband, they live in Alabama, and his family's got some kind of like a nursery or something. They've typically got several watering ponds that are from back when their pawpaws lived there. That way they wouldn't have to tote
Okay.
water. They could just pump those ponds out and water the foliage and stuff. But that boy sends me. Well, I say boy, he's in his mid 20s, 30 or whatever. But he wanted to start bass fishing because of what we do on social media, but he don't have
Yep.
time to kayak fish because his job and a kid and a wife, and so he's like, man, I've got these ponds all over the place. They're full of bluegill, and so then he caught a big bass bluegill fishing. Well, then it was, I sent him what to order from, because we sell everything at Dunkin'. We don't
Oh,
just
yeah.
sell the high end. We got other. So he bought. I sent him to Walmart, Academy, wherever to buy what he needed, and now he's got buzz bait, he's got shower blow, he's got the wacky rig, he's a Ned man,
There you go.
he's got spinner baits to fish from the bank, and so now they're driving all over the area looking for different places to fish. And his PB out of one of those lakes he sent me, and it was on what's the scale MLF used to use before everybody went to Bubba, the Pinel or something. I sent him what to buy. It was a good because he wanted a
Okay,
good,
yeah.
and so like it's not one of those where it's 6 pounds and you tilt it and it makes it 9. It's a
Yeah.
good one. But he's caught one that was over 8. I can't remember specific, and that thing looked like that monster Ewing caught on Lake Fork. I mean, yeah. So, but
Oh,
that's what's
I
awesome.
know
Just
you had to
just to
see
reach
I know
out.
you saw Garrett's video. Did you see I was like, "Bro, you poor" I mean,
How about Garrett Wade?
yeah.
Oh, it was like I was just waiting for him to flop back in that kayak like a Brad or
Oh,
something. that was
that was
heartbreaking.
a giant.
That was heartbreaking right there. And yeah. And
But I
Gene,
mean,
Gene had a big one. Gene had a big one,
yeah,
and it just didn't get uploaded in time, or he didn't get it captured in time,
right,
all
right.
that. Because that would have moved, and I dug at him. Y'all couldn't hear it, but I made
Oh,
sure to. I said it on stage, and I said, "And this man here, just to show you a testament to his character and professionalism, he should be second, but he didn't get a fish uploaded. And when I had to call
oh,
him and tell him, he handled it like a champ. I told him I was going to do
oh.
it though, but yeah, yeah.
So after what's the rest of the schedule for the rest of the year after Dale Hollow for everybody to travel to?
When we get down at Del Hollow, it's just a um, should have it here. I'm just gonna pull it up real fast. Tournaments. Kayak. So when we get done, I just wanted to make sure I got the dates right
Gotcha.
um, before I spit them out. But at the end of May, it's like May 31st, June 1st, we'll be back on 10 Killer, which is where we had the Bassmaster Championship that Drew won.
Oh yeah,
And so we're hosted out of Cookson, Oklahoma. There, it's just same area, same proximity, pretty much, just different host. And then, um, so that gives you a good month to let your bank account reset and get ready,
yeah.
take care of everything you need to do at the house, and then you can drive on out. And then we'll take a long break. And at the end of July, 26th, 27th, we'll be in Plattsburgh, New York, on Lake Champlain.
There you go.
Pretty
Yeah, Scott
excited about
Romano was
that
asking
one. I
about
mean,
them.
it's yeah, and then we'll take another break, and we'll end the month of September on Toledo Bend. That'll be
Okay,
the sixth and final event right there. So
that's
we're
awesome.
still pushing next year for 6 events, with one of them being in the Western Hemisphere. So
Oh yeah.
and I've been sharing with everybody. I'm working with James Snyder and Brandon and all them out there. We're trying to get Clear Lake booked so that we can get some people out there and get some big numbers.
Oh yeah,
Because
that'd
those
be
guys
cool.
support the what is it? They have the West Coast the championship, the Native out there every year. They had
Yeah,
200 on Berryessa, New Maloney's, Clear Lake, and so those guys support what's out there now. There's some things, I'll just be blunt, that were toxic out there that those guys got fed up with, and they filtered it out. They did
yep,
what you're supposed to do. You're supposed
exactly.
to bury your heels and don't let nobody run you off. And that's why I tell some of these people that when you're building a Bass Nation, we're coming into a Bass Nation that's been established for 50 years in a lot of these
Yep,
states, and we're coming into their club, so to speak. You have to learn, and you're gonna hit people that don't want you in there, because if your lakes are permit lakes, they they don't want to give up a tournament day. So you just got to get in, man. I'm
yeah,
not going to I'm not gonna let anybody run me off if it's something we want to do.
yep,
And so, and not everybody's wired that way. I understand that. And that's great.
yep,
You don't have to always be like that, but don't, if there's something you want to do in this industry, you can make it happen, and I'll help any way that we all can.
yep.
I had a lot of help to
Well, and
get
that's one of
to
the reasons
here.
I became an admin at my local club
Yeah.
because what we do is we have a group, Arizona Bass Nation. They judge our local tournaments and then we judge theirs. So I sat
Yeah.
there on Tourney X this weekend judging the Arizona State, Bass Nation Championship out there, trying to build up that knowledge that I've done this and done that, work with KBF, work
Yeah.
with, these guys, because I would still love to see Indiana Bass Nation on the kayak side up here someday. So I know there's people that say they've tried and, this and that, but, sometimes, like you said, you just have to be that person that's not worried about fishing the tournaments, but maybe be the guy that opens the door and leads the way. And maybe one of these days we can get Bassmaster, a kayak here in Indiana, because we have enough hammers, we have enough anglers
Yeah.
that it could be a very big thing. It's just you got to find somebody who wants to do it and be the guy. You know what I mean? I've
Yeah.
I've had a couple
Or
of
a
guys
group
that I
of
want to be the
guys.
guys,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
like I said, I just gotta earn my way, learn the ropes, and put my mouth to work and see who we can
Yeah.
start talking to maybe make that happen some one day. Who knows?
If you come up with 3 or 4 people, I don't mind to help at all. Because again, what a lot of people don't like is each state can set it up the way they that caters to their state, and
Yeah.
that's there's nothing wrong with that,
Well, I
like
think I
some
was even
clubs.
talking to Duke one time when, because I think he even started his in Texas where they were just doing a
Yeah,
championship just to have
sure,
a way just to have a way in. So
right.
even if we just started with a one tournament kind of thing, but I think we've got enough people here that we could draw some interest at some point in time to
Well,
do
yeah,
a state level.
what I tell everybody is and what we did here in Tennessee when like I was on the cast board, and when we started Tennessee Bass Nation, we've got two people from each club on a panel, 23, 22 people now, and 11 clubs. And so I'd explain to them, Daniel and I, we're going to do what we were going to do with Tennessee Bass. And what we were looking at doing was, for it to count as a Bass Nation event, everybody has to be a Bass Nation member, and that's for insurance.
Yep.
And, well, insurance is about $27 an angler if you try to buy it for your local club. Well, your Bass Nation dues are $32 if you count your fee. So, I mean, you're getting insurance for your club and it protects the TDs. Well, people always think everything's a money grab, even when it's
Oh yeah.
not. And so, but what I'd explained to them was I didn't want to make that way with cat, because if something happened to Bass Nation and we decided to quit doing it, it would have impacted what we already have in our grassroots. And it wasn't fair to, like, if you just want to fish your grassroots and you're not interested in going to the Tennessee State Championship or the Bassmaster Championship, I don't want you to have to pay two memberships to join Bass and Bassmaster. That's just not fair. And that's
Right.
how you run people away and hurt sport. And so that's when we decided just to have a standalone series. And we started out with 3 events for 2 years. And one thing I learned from that is, well, a lot of people, when they want to start their Bass Nation in their state, they immediately start thinking, how can we get 80, 90, 100 anglers tournament? Just you can't worry about that. Just
No.
build it and make it fun, and people will start showing up to it. And because
Yep.
like if you ever get to come to one of our Tennessee or Georgia Bass Nations, man, me and Daniel, we're like Abbott and Costello. I mean, we throw each other under the bus, we cut up about things, and we pick at the anglers. If you suck that day, we call you out. We just have a good time with it. And it's a professionally ran event, and so that's what I tell everybody. But as soon as some people, when you start trying to lead, they don't always have the best tactics. They think it's a drill sergeant type thing, and
Right. Right.
like that's why you very seldom. I might have to raise my voice to get someone's attention if we're getting ready to do awards or something, or if we're in the middle of something and I'm spazzing out because there's a lot going on and I need some quiet. I'll go in the other room or something,
Right. Right.
because you don't call grown folks down like that. You just don't talk to grown folks like
No.
that. And so, but I'll be glad to help. I think you guys can get that started easily. And if you have a 3 event series and you average 15, you freaking blew it out of the water.
Oh yeah.
Eh,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think I honestly think that someday, I mean, Indiana's got
yeah,
so many kayak anglers because there's so many we have. I mean, we have hundreds that fish every state around the state, but a lot of them just don't travel. I mean, we have a group of probably
yeah,
20 or 30 that do, but there's a lot of them that just get pure enjoyment of doing it on the weekend and then going back home and
yeah.
they'll fish. Some of them will fish a couple of them a weekend just because. But I mean, we have a good base. I mean, I think it could happen here, but
Yeah.
one
I
day
tell
at
you
a
what we're
time.
gonna do. If we get trouble booking Clear Lake, we're just gonna go back to Havasu in April. It was,
Yeah.
you judge them. Those 40 something people caught almost 500 fish. I'll
I
sit here
saw so many
looking.
20s. I mean, I was like,
Yeah,
man, Havasu showing out, and I'm sitting there with just seeing these fish come across, and I'm like, holy smokes, these dudes are getting in a mix of smallies and largemouth. I mean,
yep,
you just never know which one was going to show up on the leaderboard next. That was really sweet. So I was like, I get it now. I see why these
yeah.
guys are out there fishing.
And dude, that place was gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of the most beautiful places we've been to. It
When
was
they
just
put that
real.
drone up over Drew and you could see like the clear water and what,
Oh
oh, dude.
man,
I've
yeah,
gotta I've gotta do that more. I've got a drone that I need to use. It's like when I was doing the kayak adventure series, they found me standing and fishing in the XTR, and I was like, I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna use this clip because it's like, look at this old busted body standing up and fishing, pitching and flipping into pads. Couldn't catch anything at the time, but I didn't care. The clip was absolutely fantastic. But when you get, I got a drone license, I need to use it.
yeah,
But I wanna get where I'm coming out and covering these events more too. I mean, I like to come try to fish, but yeah, I'm just a fan of the sport and everything that you guys do, and it's just fun following everybody and then seeing how everybody does it. It's absolutely incredible. I think I think we as a sport have grown that, and the community is just absolutely fantastic. And it doesn't matter what level you are. I mean, you can fish charity events, you can fish, your local stuff, or you can go fish the national stuff like the Bassmaster. And for a lot of people, it's like a
Mhm.
bucket list thing. A lot of people don't get it, but sometimes people don't realize it. Yeah, I'm that dude to go spend an entry fee just to get that sticker to put on my truck and my kayak. Because I tell you, every time I see you, I need some more stickers, Steve.
Yep, hey, I got them. We
I know
we
you
got
do,
those
and I'll
stickers, and yeah,
I
and
got to
I'm
get the new
still
one with the
working on the
logo too.
merchandise. Oh, I
So
know.
so is the merch store up yet for the kayak stuff? I haven't been paying attention, but if so, I need to go get some stuff.
No, not yet. I'm working on it. I kind of got out of my lane of where I'm not supposed to go because we got a brand manager and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, it's all good. But
They had to put the
yeah, but
smackdown on Steve to.
yeah, I
But I
got
mean,
a very
they got to
yeah.
know that people love that stuff. I mean, yeah,
Yep,
I get you.
yeah, it's all good. But yeah, so just still trying to hammer it out. So,
That's
but
good. I
but in the
mean,
meanwhile, yeah,
long as they know that people want it.
that's right. That's right. So,
You know me, I'm all about hats and stickers and just like, yeah, I
yeah, same
participated.
here.
I'm still looking forward to catching my first limit during a Bassmaster event, and then we'll go from there. So
I help give somebody else gas money to get back home.
that's it. That's I tell people I'm a donor. I mean, if I'm
Yeah,
promoting
that's
the
it.
sport, I'm a donor, but it's still cool because I get out to go out and meet people and then have them come on the podcast just like we're doing tonight. Speaking of which, we're well 6 minutes over my normal slot hour, and I got to be respectful of your time. And I got to go do some tax paperwork for my son. So,
All right.
but I will see you soon, good sir. And man, can't wait to come down there and catch me a giant smallie. That'll be my goal.
That's right. I can't wait either. We'll have a good time hanging out and
Yes, sir.
just see all of what Birdstown, Tennessee has to offer.
Yep. And if
Yeah, it's
anybody out
pretty
there
cool.
listening or watching the live and you're going to be anywhere near Dale Hollow, come out and join us. If you can't fish the event, come out, say hi, come watch and check out your favorite anglers that are going to be there on the water. And if you're close enough, hop in a kayak, PFD, paddle, fishing pole, and a fishing license. You got to have one for Tennessee. If you're going to fish on the Tennessee side, you got to have one for Kentucky. If you're going to fish on the Kentucky side, but yeah, come out and enjoy us. And you'll have an absolute blast. If you can't fish, come out and say hi. Meet your favorite anglers that travel the country, and come and show up and be in a Fish with Gramps video. Who knows? But yeah, it'll be a good time. And if you want to dabble and just live a dream one time to say you're a bass master, because once you fish one, you're a bass master for life. So come out and join us.
Yep. And don't forget, if any of you know any college people want to get in, got college fishing teams, we've got this Del Hollow event. We'll have our second college Bassmaster tournament, and then
Okay,
we'll have a one on Toledo Bend, and
very
that'll
cool.
close out this season. So,
That'll be awesome. That'd be cool to see the young guys out there doing their stuff too. Young folks, could be guys and gals, you never know. But all right, Steve, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us tonight, sharing your story of kind of kayak safety and following your intuition, especially in the wind and the rain and whatnot. But I'm gonna let him get out of here. For everybody listening, thanks for joining in. As always, get outside when you can and make some memories, one cast at a time.
thank you guys. Talk to y'all later.